All right. Okay, so plan on normal because, again, through the ashes is actually pretty challenging. Resources are scarce. You're playing just a regular person, no mythic path, but you do still get to create a class, which is nice. What's going on, Stay Puffed? So I actually got to play this a day early. Alcat reached out and gave me access to it yesterday, so I'm a little bit familiar with most of it. What's going on, Dietrich? Appreciate it. What's going on, Eric? Yeah, so again, I got to play this a tiny bit early, so I'm familiar with a bit of it. That said, I wasn't allowed to stream it yesterday. I did ask, but they didn't want anything going on until today. What's going on? Hey, everybody. Feel free to ask your questions in chat, of course, obviously, QA part of it. So if you want to know anything or you got anything going on, feel free to ask. Robert says, hey, Daniel says, first time seeing my face. What a time. Yeah. So the way I edit, I never really bother to put my face in videos, but like it's not really a secret. Like there's streams and stuff on the channel that have my face in them. What's going on, Stefan? Frank, what's up? So equipment is very scarce in this particular DLC. So we're going to play Kineticist, Elemental Engine, because they require very little in the way of gear to actually be effective. Stefan says you look way cooler than I imagined. I guess. I mean, I think I look like every other nerdy guy, to be honest. What's going on? It has wings. So for our background, when it comes to Kineticist, I usually like River Kingdom's Daredevil, because you get the extra mobility and AC against attacks of opportunity. Stay Puff says, what did you do for work before YouTube? I was actually in retail and sales. I was a manager doing that stuff for about 4 years, at least. 8 years total. I was a manager for 4 years of it. And then way long ago, like the first thing I ever did out of high school, I was in the Army. And then I was in retail after that. Citizen says, sounds better than last time. Yeah, this new mic helps out a lot with that. I do have, because I talk kind of quiet normally, I have to talk like directly into this microphone. Anon says, I'll use the opportunity to say thanks for all the stuff you make about Pathfinder. As a dev, it's really cool to see people interested in the game you make. Yeah, man, Pathfinder's a favorite. I'm a really big fan of Pathfinder. I've actually got some really cool Pathfinder stuff coming up on the channel that I don't want to talk about just yet, but there is some more stuff coming in that regard. I'm actually waiting on stuff to get here before I can even talk about it. But for our background, again, River Kingdom's Daredevil is a favorite of mine, so we're just going to go with that to make it easy. We're not really going to need charisma. There's not a lot of charisma checks. We want as much dex as we can get. We'll keep the intellect. I don't want to drop that too much. Will is still important because, or wisdom is important because you don't want to drop your will saves. Whereas charisma we don't need at all. And then just put the rest into con and call it a day. And then we're going to go mobility, stealth, and trickery. Stealth, I would say, is actually pretty important for this DLC, so keep that in mind. How do I 100% games so fast that there aren't even guides available on the internet? Well, sometimes I get them early at this point, so that's something to keep in mind. Like, some of these games I'll have started before they've even released. Like, again, I got to play this yesterday, actually. Alcat reached out and gave me access to this yesterday. I just couldn't make any content about it, so I'm familiar with, like, the first part of it. So that's a lot of it. And then the other part is that it's, again, my full-time job. So this is pretty much all I do, 7 days a week. Bring back the dislike button says, I'm on my first playthrough of Pillars of Eternity 1 as a barb. First CRPG I've played since Neverwinter Nights in 2003. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Oregon says, glad to see the channel grow. Me as well, honestly. It's been a lot of work. Okay, so you will fight some demons or potentially fight some demons in this. So because of that, it's probably important to stay away from electricity because you want to use energy blast because you're touching touch AC that way. So we're going to go water and the cold blast specifically. Grab extended range. So we're going to go cold blast because it's an energy blast, which means touch AC, and also cold damage, which most enemies aren't really like immune to. Do I get burnout on gaming? Yeah, sure, sometimes. Like, there's days where I would like to just sit down and do something else. Like, that absolutely happens. Ashton says, found your channel recently and it's ignited my curiosity to try out CRPG, Pathfinder. And yeah, it can be a very overwhelming genre. There's just a lot to learn. Do I think Owlcat should swap to Pathfinder 2? I don't necessarily know that they need to. I think it would be interesting to see because we haven't really seen that second edition stuff yet. And all I can say is I'll have a video talking a bit more about that in the future, but it'll probably be a couple weeks. Stay Puff donated 10 Canadian dollars and said congrats on 50K. Thank you very much. It's very, very kind of you. All right, Cold Blast. We're going to go with our deity. Let's go with Desna. We'll play this chaotic good for once. I usually go lawful evil, and that's like the direct opposite. Okay, for appearance, gonna level with you. I don't really care that much. But they did add, I don't know if you guys have checked it out since then, but they actually did add a lot of cool tattoos. It's been a little while, but they added a bunch of cool stuff. And you can actually layer them too. So if you click these numbers here, you can actually layer them on top of each other, which I thought was pretty neat. Alright, and voice. I usually just go with confident because it's the first one on the list. Randomize a name, and let's get started. Eric Johnson says, hopefully Owlcat will be able to continue. I mean, yeah, I hope so too. It has wings. Thank you for all the hard work as well. The channel's been great finding out about new games and guides for Pathfinder. Glad to hear it. I mean, that is the goal at the end of the day, so I'm glad it's working. Griefstone says, oh, hold on. Sorry, chat kind of freaked out on me there. YouTube was kind of strange. Griefstone says, main question from what you've already seen, is it as bad as Inevitable Excess since you are my main source? I liked this a lot more than Inevitable Excess, but you'll see here in just a minute. Any predictions on what we'll get with Season Pass 2? I don't know. I don't know if they'll do one, to be honest with you, because they've got the Endless Dungeon to go yet, and then beyond that, we don't really know what their plans are. And again, with world events, it's very hard to say what those plans will be. Daniel says, I'd love to see Owlcat adding environmental and elemental interactions like Divinity Game does. To some degree. As much as I love DOS 2, I think it goes a little overboard. So I guess we will see. Oberon says they confirmed it in the newsletter. I just haven't had a chance to read it then. Because the Endless Dungeon is pretty much what they have planned that I'm aware of. So beyond that, I don't know if that was voice acted or not. Beyond that, I would hope that they would add some of the interesting stuff. Oh, they announced it over on Instagram. That's why I haven't really checked it too much this morning after the initial announcement. But yeah, like my main thing is I hoped they would add more like races or classes or maybe some more mythic stuff if they decide to put out that kind of DLC. Alright, here we go. Let me know if you guys can't hear it and I'll turn it up. Alright. Hold on, guys. Is the stream lagging? It looks a little rough in my preview, too. Alright, give me just a second. I will save and then bring it back. Yeah, give me just a second, guys. The bit rate is being terrible. Okay, there. Hold on. I'll fire the game back up and it should be okay. I think my internet was just being a pain. Alright, so our CRPG is getting back to the mainstream to some degree. I mean, we'll see how it lands. There's mixed opinions about it. I've talked about it here and there. But overall, I would say for the most part, yes, in my opinion. Again, kind of a mixed bag. Depends on who you ask, really. Okay. No, still a little choppy, I can see in the preview. I mean, it's better than it was, but it's still not great. Okay. Always technical issues. Yeah, I'm trying to sort it out, guys. Hold on. It's seems to be the game specifically, because the second I tab away from the game, it's fine, but the second I'm actually in game, it's a pain. Have I enjoyed this DLC? Yeah, what I've played of it has been a real blast, actually. Right now, if I could get the stream to cooperate, then we'd be good to go. Eric says, I hope CRPGs never actually make it mainstream, because there's a lot of things that come from making it. Yeah. I mean, there's that argument, to be sure. Like, I made that video talking about BG3 and its effect on that very same thing, so pretty much where it is. Okay. We're a little bit choppy, but we're getting there. Seems to be the game itself. Okay, so Monica says, how much have I played? I actually got pretty much to the end of it yesterday when they gave me access to it. I was able to play it for about 7-8 hours, which is roughly how long it is to answer Zavanakat's question. And this is a separate game mode. Yes, sort of. It takes place alongside of the main story in Act 1. Alright, and then there's a lot of like survival elements to it where resources are very scarce. Jean-Philippe Rodriguez donated 20 euros. Holy crap, thank you so much. Said GG for 50k, well deserved. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Okay, you know what? I think it might have just been that area that we're in, because now that I am out of that area, the bitrate seems completely fine. I think that very specific spot we were standing in was killing my stream for some reason. Okay, so milestone experience. This says milestone, but I would call it more of a hybrid system, because true milestone is like your character kills a specific enemy, gets to a specific point, then you get a level. Whereas with this, if you do certain things, you get XP here and there. So it is nonetheless not from killing enemies. Oh man, there the stream goes again. Good grief. Is there anything you get from completing this DLC in the main campaign? Yeah, there's a couple options that should pop up. I don't know fully because I haven't played through, but yes, it is my understanding that that is the case. Bobby says, "Grats on 50k. You're still undersubbed in my opinion." Thank you, that's very kind. But next we gotta go even farther. What's the best CRPG I've played and why? I would definitely say, overall, this one right here. I love Wrath of the Righteous. It is very dear to me. There's a lot of great ones out there, and I've played most of them, but Wrath of the Righteous is without a doubt my favorite, for sure. Mokuzo became a supporter, which is a member on the channel, so thank you very much. Set up my stuff here. Sorry about the lag, guys. Trying to fix it, but the game itself seems to not be cooperating. But we come across this rabid dog attacking a citizen, and we're trying to kill it.
What have you done? Why did you kill him? Our poor Leafy, how could you?
And he informs you that the dog that was attacking him was apparently their dog, but we're like, I saved your life, so...
Look, thank you for helping me out, but surely you could have found a non-violent solution.
Moku says, congrats, 100k is next. I certainly hope so. That's the big goal, for sure. James says, agreed, Pathfinder's great. It really is. Mort, Bobby says, Mort loves Wrath of Righteous so much he got me into it, and I couldn't stand Pathfinder before. Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, it takes a lot of commitment to get into Pathfinder, and I'd say that's probably the biggest flaw of the game, but if you can, there's a lot to love. Sorry about the stream bitrate, guys. Not exactly sure what's going on. It seems to have something to do with the game itself, because the second I start playing, but like if I tab out, it's perfectly fine, as you can see right here where I'm tabbed out. For whatever reason, YouTube just isn't getting enough information for it to run smoothly. Which is weird because there doesn't seem to be any problem with my internet, so unfortunately I'm not sure that there's a lot I could do about it. Okay, so we saved him. We can ask him how to get out of here.
The orchestra pit or the theater? The only way out of the theater is through the seats, and that's where those killers are. And the orchestra pit? There was a door over there, but it was blocked by some rubble. Long ago, way before the attack. Another option is the stage, but we'd be out in the open, and that's just what they want. So, there you have it. No way out. All we can do is pray.
Alright, so we can ask what dogs are doing in the theater. We can tell them that would have mauled them to death.
What? No, not at all. Leafy and I are friends. He got scared, that's all. Scared and hungry after... Oh, Shellen, this is a nightmare. What did I do to deserve this? What sin did I commit?
But yeah, this guy's panicking. Leia says, would I recommend doing this DLC before the main campaign? You'll get extra stuff if you do it before the main campaign, because I believe some of it bleeds over. I'm not exactly sure in what way. I haven't got that far yet, but I believe some of the choices do carry over to the main campaign, so there is that. But I would tell you, this DLC is a little difficult because of it has like the survival element to it, which can be a real pain.
I've never seen dogs behave like this.
All right. So we've saved Landgrat there. We can look around, but mostly there's just the one shelf to loot, and then we can go into the next room. But in here, we can find a sham crossbow. So some of the ways that they handle resources in this DLC is to give you rusty or sham weapons that actually give you a penalty on your attack rolls. So that's something to keep in mind. So there are normal weapons you can find later, but they're of much higher value than normal, because a lot of what you're going to be finding is this stuff. Favorite PoE 2 classes. I was a really big fan of the Beastmaster, actually, which is Druid and Ranger, I want to say, where you could become like a shapeshifter, but also have the animal companion with you. I always thought that felt really cool. Tion says, love your videos. I'm glad people find them useful. That's always my big thing, is trying to make sure that they're actually good long term. Like some of the stuff I do is one and done, like the news stuff, but I try to put out like a lot of guides, and I try to make sure my reviews are useful for like years to come, and I think that's really helped the channel grow, to be honest. Alright, we can threaten this sorceress who's trying to kill us. How's that Neverwinter Nights playthrough going? So far, it's been pretty good, to be honest. This is where we meet Rekarth, because he is about to kill the sorceress that was attacking us. Or at least pin her down so we can kill her. I'm going to turn turn-based mode on, because for some reason it wasn't. Yeah, permanent summons wouldn't be too bad. I think it would mess with the overall balance, though. I can't speak for second edition, but because of the way the system's balanced around them not being
good work.
Permanent, it would be hard to manage.
For them, one more knife for us.
All right, so this is where we meet Rekarth, because he just helped us kill that cultist that was trying to kill us.
You're not half bad yourself. The name's Rekarth. We should stick together, and maybe we'll make it out of this slaughterhouse.
Mr. Andy RG says, I saw you have a werewolf class in D2 as well. Yeah, I really like werewolves. If I can play as a werewolf, I usually will. Alright, we can shake Rekarth's hand.
Alright, that's enough small talk. We better figure out how we're getting out of here. I have to make it to the Defender's Heart, no matter what it... Wait!
Is this game more complex than Divinity 2? Well, that was weird. I'm assuming you mean Original Sin 2, and yes. Original Sin 2's simpler to get into, frankly. Dapper says, might go with a pet class for this DLC. Having a wolf or dog seems like it would be super useful. Yeah, having companions is. You have to make sure that you keep up with that pet's level, because it's possible to have a pet that's a few levels lower than you, which isn't super helpful. But there are a lot of classes that can make great use of a companion. Alright.
Wait! Don't! I'm a friend, not a cultist! See? I saw you. Do what you did. It was...
What do you think?
So, Langrat there, the guy we saved from the dog, can actually help us out of the theater because he works here. But he'll only help you if you promise to take him with you. You don't have to.
For a long time, so I know every
you can actually just tell some of these survivors to get lost, but it's possible. What's my feelings on the Dampier race?
But you have to promise me that you'll take me with you.
Feels like it was tacked on instead of done right. I don't know. Dampier are one of those things that I think sound cooler in theory than they do in practice. I think it's hard to integrate something like that without it feeling just kind of out of place because of the negative energy stuff. So it's one of those, I just feel like there's no way you could do it that would make it feel really cool without it being also your main focus. So it's a bit of a pain, in my opinion. Alright, so we'll promise we'll get him out of here. We're chaotic good anyway.
This theater is very old, you know. It was built back in the times of the First Crusade, almost 100 years ago. Its stage has been graced by such legends as...
Get to the point.
Huh? Oh, right. Anyway, it's an old theater, and between you and me, the city doesn't have the coin to maintain it properly. The foundation is sinking deeper and deeper every year. There are caves beneath our feet, you know. This place has cracks running up the walls, and no matter how much we complain, all the city authorities do is,
What's going on, Space Apples? Alright, so there's
anyway,
caves below us, and we have to find a way out of this theater.
We just covered the hole with planks, more or less. But if you were to remove them, you could get into the catacombs. It's scary down there, all right. But not as scary as what's going on up here. There, I've told you. No tricks, you hear? You promised you wouldn't leave without me. Shellen.
So listen,
okay.
Here's what I wanted to tell you before this fool crept up on us. No matter what it takes, I have to make it to the Defender's Heart. It's a tavern, you know it? Great. Because believe it or not, it's been made into the headquarters for the remnants of the resistance against the demons. You might not think it to look at me, but I work for the Paladins from the Order of the Eagle Watch. The resistance was put together by their leaders, Anevia and Irabeth Tirabade. And I have information for them. Something big. Something they need to know right now. I'm serious. The lives of everyone in this city depend on me delivering this report.
Alright, so Rekarth has to deliver a report to Defender's Heart, which is one of our big reasons for going there.
Wait. Listen. I hope I make it. Then let's find a...
And then we can get going. So we're actually trapped in this theater in sort of like a little prisoner area, as there's a bunch of cultists blocking the normal way out over here. Which hopefully you guys can see with the terrible bitrate that I can't seem to fix. Space Apple says, doing fine. How's the DLC? I'm enjoying it quite a bit, which is probably going to be a little hard to come through with the terrible bitrate that I'm getting, to be honest. But it is what it is. Jonathan says we need a character voiced by Mortismal. I don't know that I would make a good voice actor, to be honest, but I appreciate the thought. Oku says, I think they're actually much better than the ones hired for BG3. The voice acting, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. It's touch and go. I think voice acting is a tough thing to nail. Eric Skoog donated, I believe, Swedish kroner, 100, said, which one was your favorite Wrath the Righteous playthrough? My personal favorite was probably
we do it my way.
Azada, as much as it pains me to say it. There's a lot of really cool ones, but I think Azada was probably the one that I thought was
must be carried out.
The best. Alright, so before we leave the stage here, we can talk to Bamir here, who is one of the people we can take with us, and he can actually move things for you, like heavy objects, etc. He can't help you fight because he has some like wound to his arm or whatever, but he's a strong person who can help you topple stuff, which is helpful. Eric says the Aslanti one. Man, that Aslanti playthrough was a lot of fun. It was a little stressful, to be honest, but it was a ton of fun. Okay. So now we can head down into the basement of the theater. Is my shared XP turned on? The DLC uses a sort of milestone experience, so you don't actually get XP the same way. Now, lighting is also a big deal with this DLC as well, so we're about to pull a torch off the wall. Now, we won't really need it a ton, in my opinion, but it's something you can play around with. Now, we're going to give Rekarth the sham crossbow, just so he can hit at ranged. But keep in mind, you really want to avoid fights as much as possible in this DLC.
We should move.
That's not to say that there isn't fighting, but unlike the main campaign, you are very much so outnumbered and outgunned. Hey, my bitrate's actually doing fine. Nice. Danielle said, just popped in to say how much your videos mean to me. Look forward to your sign-off every morning. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you find it entertaining or useful. Jay says, love your work. Always provide really interesting and informative content. Glad you enjoy it. Thank you. Okay, so these rabid dogs aren't too tough. So shouldn't be too much of a big deal there.
Their life ends here.
They've only got like 4 or 5 health, I think, even on normal. Yeah, 5. But there are a couple enemies coming up who will be more of a problem. Now we're going to use our action to switch over to crossbow. They lose their turn to the surprise round, and hopefully our cold blast will kill this one. Mr. Andy said, imagine Mortismal doing a werewolf in a CRPG and then attacking you by a red moon knight. Nice. Okay. So, you gotta remember, too, we're using those sham weapons that we have to use, which gives us a penalty to our attack rolls. So you can see the penalty from the weapon there. Which can make it very challenging to hit things. Which is why, honestly, I think unfair with this particular DLC, unfair mode, I mean, is going to be a real challenge for people. Danielle says, I'm an overworked grad student with no time for video games, so I live vicariously through you. Nice. You know what? I've honestly heard that before, but you know, whatever works, honestly. All right, so this is where we can start interacting with them. So there tend to be alternative ways around some of the combat encounters, and this kind of serves as a tutorial for that, where in this case, we can damage the enemy with the environment and knock it over, which kills that dog. Right as my bitrate dropped again. Jonathan says, so is this DLC worth playing? It just released, so I don't want to get it if it's like the previous DLC. I personally think it's very good. You take that with a grain of salt. I'm known to love these games, etc. But I think it's much better. Now, there is a swarm right here that you can either sneak past or deal with. I would say you're probably going to need to kill this one. There are two. There's another one over here. But this one, I would say at the very least, really does need to die. And that's because where you need to go to eventually leave, oh man, it caught me, is this room over here.
Strike!
Alright. We're gonna step back this way a little bit.
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
Okay, 5-foot step over here.
You should have run!
Nice.
You're going down!
I like how the swarm size gets bigger as you hit them. That always made me laugh. Christian says it's really choppy. Yeah, it's unfortunately not on my end. My internet's great. It's just YouTube isn't getting enough bitrate, so anytime I'm actually in game, it kind of kills. Like, I'm tabbed out right this second, and you can see that it's fine, or at least I am. And then the second I go into the game, it kind of cuts for some reason. I've tried restarting it a couple times, but it just doesn't want to work. Alright, so 5-foot step, kill the rat swarm hopefully, but I missed with a natural one, because why wouldn't I?
It's you or me.
Hit for 1 damage with Rekarth. Super useful, bud. Alright, hopefully... Oh my god, if I just hit the thing, good grief.
Something's wrong.
There we go, finally. Okay. Alright, I'm going to save, exit out one more time, see if that'll fix the bitrate. But unfortunately, that's about all I can do. Because everything on my end of things is good. I'm just not able to get enough to YouTube for whatever reason. Jonathan donated $5. Says, just a thank you for all your guides. They have really helped me get into the CRPGs like this one, more of a Dragon Age Mass Effect player. Well, thank you for the donation, and I'm really glad that they help you out, honestly. That was a big reason I started making all the Pathfinder stuff, is because it's just such a complicated system, honestly. Zapper says, I dropped the stream down to 720 instead of the 1080 source, and that helped a lot on my end. Well, glad to hear it. Hopefully other people might be able to try it. I guess I could try, because I'm streaming in 1080, I could try reducing my resolution down a bit. Which didn't really do anything. Okay, so unfortunately the bitrate is terrible. I apologize, guys. Unfortunately, there's just not anything I can do about it. Jade of Arcs donated 20 euros and said, just recently found your channel. Really appreciate all the content. The games you play and review are games I mostly play myself. Happy 50k subs. Also, any chance you can get Wildermyth in your queue for games to review. So, well, small spoiler, I guess. Wildermyth is in my queues to review, actually. So, I don't know exactly when I'll do it, but here we go. Jonathan said running 720 and not having an issue here. Yeah, that might help people out, dropping it down to 720. So if you guys want to try that, again, unfortunately, there's just not much I can do on my end, but I am sorry about the hassle. I know it's annoying. Pretty annoying for me to see, because especially, like, every once in a while it's fine, but it just randomly dips out for some reason. Alright, so this is where we need to go, but we need tools to actually get the boards off. And that'll lead us down into caves.
I'm gone.
Okay, so
I am never
there's
wrong.
another swarm in here. And then there's this trap. Rekarth has trickery if you don't, so he can disarm traps as long as you're careful.
I managed.
Easy peasy. Alright, now the tools we need are down this hallway, but there is something we want in this room over here. And that is another survivor. There's a couple dogs in here you gotta be careful with, though. The dogs really aren't dangerous, though, because they've only got like 5 health, and they're pretty easy to hit because their AC is terrible.
I'm always ready. Don't hold back. This will be quick.
Keeps kicking me out of turn base for whatever reason.
Strike.
There, there's that one dead. Jonathan says the only issue I see is the very slight green screen with your mic. Yeah, it looks like it's catching the cord, so it's not chroma keying that one little section properly. Kind of annoying. Okay.
It's you or me. Test of my abilities.
Oh, nice. We actually create that dog for a one-shot. Nice.
We do it
There should be another dog up here, I believe. Does Pathfinder have an option to play turn-based, or is it always real-time with pause? It has an option for turn-based. I'd say it honestly plays a bit better than in real-time with pause, honestly. Okay, so there's the dog. Dead. There's another swarm over here, which I don't remember there being anything in the corner of that room.
Interesting.
But there is 3 cultists sleeping on the other side of this room right here, which can be a pretty challenging fight. But the main reason I wanted to come in here is because we can save Frada here, which is one of the NPCs that can help you out. Is this the new DLC? It is. Quantum Echo says, OMG, Mortismal's face. Nice. Yeah, like, it's never been a secret. Like, there's been streams on the channel with my face in them plenty. Mr. Andy says, just curious about it. Are modern CRPGs friendly to low, medium-end PCs? It varies. I would say for the most part, medium-end stuff is fine. CRPGs in general aren't typically very resource-heavy. Even with high-end stuff, you'll honestly run into load times that are pretty rough a lot of the time with stuff like PoE 2, etc. What is the maximum level in this DLC? I believe it only goes up to like level 5. It's a pretty low-level adventure. I doubt we're going to pass that, but we'll give it a shot. Yep. Oh, damn it. Okay, so she talked a bunch and triggered the cultists, unfortunately. Is this my first run, or did I get a review copy? I was able to play it a little bit early. Owlcat was kind enough to give it to me a single day early. So I was able to play it yesterday. Okay, so now we gotta fight these cultists. And unfortunately, they're all magic users, which is a real pain.
Got you.
Oh, wow, we just... That was a surprise. Wow, pretty much rolled max damage on that. Last time I had to fight these 3, it was the big pain, actually.
You should have run.
Mostly because they use magic missile. And at this level, magic missile is actually quite dangerous.
A mere flesh wound.
Okay, so keep attacking that guy. He's dead. And now for you. Kanos donated 10 Canadian dollars, said grats on 50K. Thank you very much. Mortismal says, were I able to complete the DLC yesterday, or is it more hours than however many hours you put in? I would say, for most people, it's probably going to run around 10 hours. I got right up to the end of it, and there's a couple choices I hadn't seen, so I'm not 100% sure on all of it, but that's about where we're looking at. Zenny B donated $20. Thank you so much. Said, love the content you put out. Also, do you think Wrath of the Righteous will port well to consoles? I don't know, because it's one of those things where there's a ton of menu stuff that I think is inherently going to be worse on console. But that's something that people have made a lot of progress with. But I don't play enough on console to really give like a proper opinion, I guess. But it would occur to me that I feel like this would be difficult to port. Is Obsidian making more CRPGs in the future? I certainly hope so, but I really wouldn't know. I like pretty much every CRPG that they've ever made. Tyranny is one of my favorites, but I just don't really see them working too much on that anymore. Like, none of the games they've put out recently have been CRPGs. CRPG sales have never done particularly well for them. And while I feel like there's a lot of love for them at that studio, I just don't know that the sales really justify it.
It's you or me.
Okay. We're just in an endless fight with this guy, because I don't think he can do enough damage to Rekarth to really, like, even if he could even hit him. So I think we're just 1v1ing this guy until he dies. As someone who's never played Tyranny, is it worth grabbing? Tyranny is one of my favorites. It is a fantastic CRPG. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out. It has a spell crafting system that I'm very fond of, and it just has a great story to tell.
It's you or me.
There we go. Okay. Now we can talk to Frada again. She'll apologize and come with us, which brings us back up top. That'll give us one of the side quests. But also, she can tell us that apparently the theater's been embezzling funds, which is why it's been in such a state of disrepair and why it leads down to the caves beneath Canabras. So ironically, her position as like a city finance person, I guess, I don't even know, has enabled her to tell us that. But we already know all that, so we will go. We're going to heal our main guy real quick with this potion, which didn't heal us much, but we don't really need too much. And now we just need to get the tools to head down into the underground caves. All right, we're going to try to avoid the swarms down here at this point. Sen Cyprien says hi from France. Hello. Always love seeing people from other countries in chat. That's really cool to me. Okay, I think
Something's wrong.
there's a trap in this room, but I don't think there's a rat or anything. We have to solve this puzzle over here to get the tools to get out of the theater. And then we'll be down in the underground caves where, if any luck, my bitrate will be a little better. Jade of Arc says hi from Germany as well. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Break the lock because we failed. Grab a little bit of gold.
Watch your step.
And then there's a perception check right here. Did they add anything to the base game, or is it's only a standalone adventure? It's a 1 through 5 side adventure that takes place on side of Act 1. In terms of anything added to the main game, I believe they added some choices, like, I don't know choices, but there should be some stuff that plays into the main campaign, at least story-wise. I don't have full details on that yet because I haven't seen it, but that's my understanding. Okay. I'm noticing as I walk in and out of certain areas, the stream gets better, which makes me feel like it might just be certain parts of the game. Let me walk back into that room and see. Yeah, and then suddenly my bitrate cleared up. And then the second I walk over here. And then I walk back here and it's fine. I guess that solves the bitrate thing, because it's 100% just like places in the game that I'm walking. That's really weird. PoE 3 would be awesome. I don't know that I'd expect it anytime soon, at any rate. Okay, so we basically have to use these levers to eventually get a character over here, which is where the tools are, which is what's going to get us out of here.
We should move.
So we basically just have to play around with these levers. Until we get the right ones down, which, to be honest with you, I never really figured out the actual pattern to. But we move him over here.
Focus.
I'll take care of it.
Here. Pull that lever.
We must act.
There we go.
My skills are
Walk over
absolute.
here, hit this lever, which
It's time to act.
No time
allows
for standing
Rekarth
around.
to walk over here. Hit that lever,
I'm
walk him over
always
here.
ready.
The mission must be carried out.
We should move.
Hit the second lever,
You're not half
hit
bad.
that one again.
I'll take care of it.
I served the Crusades.
Last but not
I
least,
am never wrong.
ta-da! Danielle Stone donated $5, said congrats on the 50K. Thank you very, very much. It's very kind of you. Harabok says a face to the mortem voice. Good job on 50K and the next milestone. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I think we can all agree that Larian made us doubt releasing a BG3 early access. For us who play modern games and know how they end up, it's a risk. A little bit. How often do you find yourself reloading? I'm ashamed to admit 1 to 6 times every half hour for me doing the nat ones over and over again. It depends. So
My skills
most
are
of the time, I would say I usually just roll with it. So obviously, if I'm about to die or something, I'll reload. And then only if I know that the outcome of a failed roll is dramatically worse, then I'll usually just reload it. It really just depends on the context.
Using clever
Okay, so we're going to sneak by that swarm, head over here, use our tools, drop into the underground caves, which will hopefully be a little bit better. Frank says, well, I'm hyped for Avowed. I would just love PoE 3. Yeah, like, I'm looking forward to Avowed. I think that's a really cool idea. But, hard to say how it's going to pan out, you know? All right, so every time you transition areas, there is a cutscene. So I'm going to save it right here just in case. And then we're going to go through with the text event. Because while they use the tools to get the boards up on the floor, we have to play this text event about distracting the cultists, rather, so we can escape. So we have a +6 to trickery, which makes me feel like trickery is the way to go, which we were successful with, which has effectively distracted the cultists. But now we have to pass a much higher check to either sing something or we can refuse to sing. But let's go Knowledge World and see how that goes for us. Danielle says, gotta pop out and do adult things, but have a great rest of the stream. Thank you for stopping by and thank you for the donation. I hope you have a great day. Alright, so let's do Knowledge World. Failed. And now they want me to... this gives me a mobility check that I should be able to pass. Yeah, I literally have the +10. I couldn't fail that check unless I rolled in that one. Oh, Lord. Bots in the chat, because why aren't there? Okay. Yeah, man, those bots show up in every stream. Like, even when I watch other streamers, those bots always pop up. But it's always, like, the same ones, too, which is really weird to me. You'd think YouTube would do a better job of getting rid of that nonsense. Alright, so we managed to successfully escape down into the Canobras Caves. Which brings us to the second act of the caves. Which is where things get quite a bit dangerous.
Follow if you
Okay.
dare. This will be quick.
So there's centipedes, there's spiders, there's just big dangerous animals down here. Rubber Cable says I need a mod. Yeah, I don't like people working without getting paid, frankly, and I don't stream enough to really do that reliably, so
You're not a
I agree,
threat. You're
but
an obstacle.
again, I'm just not fond of the idea of having somebody work without getting paid. I don't like that. Monica says, I just wonder if bots actually work to attract customers. Maybe, I don't know. Can't say I know for sure. Alright, unfortunately our bitrate is also terrible down here. Which is strange, because game-wise, I'm running fine. So I'm not exactly sure what the issue is, but oh well, I guess. Alright, get some Alchemist Fire off that skeleton. And then I don't remember the layout in here exactly. But we should be safe for... yeah, okay. So there's a quarterstaff over here. We're about to run into some other characters. Yeah, there's a quarterstaff. And then for these objects, we actually get a couple different choices. So anytime we see this question mark in this DLC, you'll have a few different options. Now, we took Bamir, I believe his name is, with us, so he can actually move this for us because he's apparently super strong. Why are you sneaking? Why are you going so slow? But yeah, he can move, or no, wait, did we not take... I thought we took Bamir with us. Oh, I guess not. I don't know, I could have swore we clicked on the option to have him come with us, but oh well. But yeah, now we have to clear this out by hand. Which can lead to fatigue and exhaustion instead of the other character doing it for you. Now, there's a check, so if you pass the check, you're fine. But you can have the NPCs that are coming with you just do it for you. Yeah, Black Geyser is made in Unity as well. Arkling says, finally caught you live. Yeah, truth be told, I haven't been live much these days.
It's done.
Alright, so... looking for resources. That leads back up to the theater, but you can't go through that way. And then over here is a mushroom guarded by a centipede with 4 health.
Hold back!
Adam says, congrats on the 50k. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Alright, so...
I'm gone.
that centipede was guarding this mushroom. There is a vendor down here, actually, that you can sell those mushrooms to for a good little bit. And he's your best bet at finding weapons that aren't terrible. Okay, but now we can come through here, which is where we meet up with some other people after we view the whole cavern. Okay, so when you're up high like this, it actually allows you to see farther than you normally would. So you can see that this guy is a problem because he's level 4 and we're not. Am I planning on playing Titan Quest? Couldn't find it on your channel. I've thought about it. I would say it's probably not high on the priority list, but eventually maybe. What classes are PC and the guy? Rekarth is a rogue, and the player character is a kineticist. Is the DLC just in the Coven? It's in Canabras, if that's what you're talking about. Alright, so this guy is Sergeant Vinrad. He and Rekarth has a history. Now he's trying to protect what few people he does have with him from the demons up above, down in the caves here. And he'll give you a key out, I believe, and then we can point out that we have an important report for Eagle Watch, and we can join forces. However, some of the people with him are Crusaders, so even though he says no, he's like, the people who can, who want to, can, or whatever. Yeah, there is a Sorcerer Companion a little later in the DLC. It's in the next area where he shows up. What would be my #1 advice for new CRPG players in regards on making builds? It's hard sometimes to make builds. I want to see everything and don't like specializing. Honestly, just play the game. I know that sounds silly, but a lot of people get so caught up in like the theory crafting part of it that they don't ever experience the game. Like, just play the game one way or the other. Find the stuff you like. Figure out what it does. The more you play, the more you learn. And it's a gigantic system, and doing nothing with it, but looking at menus, isn't going to help you learn. Dragunov says, hello, Mort. Ali says, love Tyranny. Tide sounds like the new Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter. Yeah, kind of. Okay, so those soldiers give us a cleric via Fury, a fighter via Valmont, and Tuvel here is a slayer. Now, it's important to remember what these people are actually good at. So even though they're level 1, she has specialization with shields, etc., and he is great with a great sword, which we simply do not have. So we're going to give him a quarterstaff because he's a slayer, and we're going to give her a short sword. She's meant to be like our tank, but we don't really have a shield right now. So there's really only so much you can do there. And that's pretty much going to do it right this second. But you can rest at these camp spots that you'll find around. However, you do have to be careful because you still get corruption like in the base game, so you really can only rest so many times. Does Wrath of the Righteous work well on a MacBook? I don't really mess around with MacBooks, so I wouldn't be able to know for sure. Hopefully somebody in chat will know. Alright, so I have a... Okay, so if I remember correctly, there's like an ambush right here.
I'm out of sight.
Where that dead guy is. Yeah. So I want to get that bow so we can give it to Rekarth. Oh, good grief with these bots. Alright, so all we gotta do is kill these centipedes. These guys are pretty easy to kill because they only have a little bit of health anyway. However, we are standing right next to that one, so I got a 5-foot step away.
Strike!
Only dealt 3 damage.
I'll split you in half.
Killed that one.
I'll gut you.
Missed that one. Missed. Yeah, so unlike normal and above on this one, because of those penalties that you're taking from those weapons, it can be a real pain. Tyler says, wow, can't believe I hadn't subscribed yet. Fixed it. Hey, man, as long as you're watching, I'm happy to have you. Victor said, "Hey, Mortem, longtime watcher. Actually, I have a question. Since you are this interested in CRPGs, you enjoy tabletop RPGs. I do. The problem is I don't really get to play them super often, just because, A, this takes up all my time, and I just don't have a lot of people interested in playing them with me, like, in person, you know? But yeah, I'm very much so interested in them. I used to play tabletop D&D 3.5 a lot in high school, actually, when it was a little easier to find people who were interested, you know? But yes, I'm very much so interested in tabletop as well. Okay, so we got our cleric. She doesn't start out with a weapon, so she's not fantastic, but we will have her channel positive if she... Okay, I think she kind of bugged out on me there. Alright.
You should have run!
Alright, got that one. And one left. Alright. Now the nice thing about Tuval, the dwarf they give you, he actually has a pretty solid chance to hit things because he's a slayer. Lewis, yeah, the bitrate is terrible depending on where I'm at in the DLC. Try turning your resolution down to 720. I was told that worked for some people. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot I can do. Everything's green on my end. It seems to be a problem with the game more so than anything else. Because it's fine on my end, but streaming certain parts of the maps on this particular DLC seems to just be crushing the bitrate. Okay, so we can give that bow to him, which is a normal bow, so we won't take a penalty from using it. And then what we don't want to do is get into a fight with that guy yet, because he is quite strong. But what we can do is come up here, fight these two flies, and then knock this barrel of oil over, which we'll get to in just a second.
You're going down! This will hurt!
Okay. There we go. For some reason, every time I tell Fury, the cleric, to do anything, it's not working. Alright, we're going to turn her fighting defensively on.
Run them through.
Because she's meant to be like your tank anyway. Is Through the Ashes kind of like the Varnhold DLC from Kingmaker in that it's a standalone events that have events that get ported into the main playthrough? Yeah, it's pretty similar in context, like content it's actually a bit different, but structure-wise, sure, it's fairly similar. Okay, so that guy has literally 1 HP. Unfortunately, I can't hit him with you.
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
Alright. So, those guys are dead. We can come up to the top of this hill and we can grab a club, that Burning Arc Scroll, which is pretty cool. That Burning Arc Scroll is actually pretty important. That is basically just in case you don't have an Alchemist Fire or something that can deal fire for what we're about to do. And then we will give the club to our fighter, and then we'll give you a crossbow. Alright. Will I review Disco Elysium? Eventually, probably. That one's hard for me to play. It gives me headaches. Is there an import to main campaign, though, or is it fully standalone? You're supposed to be able to bring some of the choices to the main campaign. I don't have all the details on that because I haven't done it, but that is my understanding, yeah. Peter says, "Hey, great to see you. Are those companions vanilla comps from the DLC, or are they mercs?" So they're all specific to the DLC. Rekarth, this one is more important, and so is Sendry, which is the guy we'll get in the next area if we actually make it that far. And then these guys are more like mercs. But Rekarth and Sendry, if they die, the DLC ends, whereas these guys, not so much. Steel says, gives you headaches. Yeah, So the art style of Disco Elysium gives me like physical headaches. It's hard for me to like play it for very long, which is actually the same thing Borderlands does, and it's actually not terribly uncommon, but it's a problem. All right, so knocking that over throws a bunch of tar on the ground, and then what we can do
I do what I must.
is come over here and ever so carefully lure that big centipede up onto this and then set it on fire. He has the most dexterity, which is why we're giving him the Alchemist Fire. Alright, and then we're going to...
I shall not fail.
give you those scrolls so she can heal up our main character.
Yes.
Yeah, Constantine says Borderlands also gives him migraines. Yeah, it's annoying. Like, honestly, with as many games as I play, like, whatever, you know. But it's an annoying problem, nonetheless. Okay. So, we're going to save, because this can be a little tricky. But basically the goal
We must act.
is to get the big centipede up here. You don't necessarily need to hit the big centipede, because you can just engage in combat with these guys,
Be careful, everyone.
and then it will eventually come up here. Brian says, my condolences, those are some good titles. Yeah, like, I've heard it's great, and I'd love to play it, and eventually I probably will. It's just a real pain for me to do so. Alright, I don't have the range, unfortunately, to hit you guys. I could take a point of burn and hit one of them. I can't do... I've only got a standard action. I don't have a move action, so I can't gather power. So we'll go ahead and take a point of burn and hit that guy. Any plans to review Vargas, the Riven Realms, indie game that looks right up your alley? Maybe. I can't say I've heard of that one off the top of my head. The Riven Realms part sounds familiar, but the Vargas, not so much. Okay, so... we got our surprise round. We're not moving our melee characters anywhere.
Don't hold back.
Okay, and that should aggro the other one. Which they lose half their movement just coming up to that tar, too. Yeah, there it is. Peter says it would be cool if the new companions intersect with the main campaign at some point, and in Act 3 they have some Seder campaigns. Again, I don't know exactly how it connects, but it's my understanding that there is something to that effect. Steele says maybe try Monochrome or something. I think Disco Elysium is one of the favorite Planescape Torment type stories. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking into eventually. Like, I'm not in a hurry by any means, but I'm looking at like glasses or just a filter I can apply to the game or something like that to hopefully help out with it. Okay, so Rekarth, let's have you kill that. Go ahead and have her do nothing, because for whatever reason her channel heal doesn't seem to want to work. And now her turn's not ending. There it goes. Lick says, check Vargas out. I was surprised you hadn't covered it. Yeah, I might have to give it a look. That's 2 people. Like I said, I've never even heard of it, honestly. Okay, so... we're going to keep you 2 up here. We're going to 5-foot step as far back as we can. We're going to throw the Alchemist Fire onto the Tremendous Centipede. which doesn't do a ton of damage, but being in the... Oh man, did that not set the tar on fire? Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, my turn had to pass. Yeah, so now that it's on fire, it takes 2d6 fire damage every turn, so it should pretty much be dead. And that actually killed the other centipede as well. So now all we've got to do is...
You're an obstacle.
It missed. I didn't think that would be close enough to get an attack of opportunity, but apparently it was. Okay, and then from here we just keep fighting the thing until it's dead, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for all the reviews. Cynic says, thanks for all the reviews. They really help when I try to pick up new titles to play. By the way, is Wrath of the Righteous worth playing if I didn't finish Kingmaker? It's almost entirely unrelated to Kingmaker, so yeah, you can absolutely just jump straight into Wrath of the Righteous. Pathfinder uses adventure paths, as they call them, which are all fairly unrelated to each other. Switch says you're live today. Awesome. I am. The stream is very choppy from what I understand, but, you know, otherwise we are absolutely live. Tyler says, any pro tips for starting Icewind Dale? I'm still new to RPGs, and your rave review made me want to give it a go. Play it a couple times and keep importing the characters. So Icewind Dale is very easily cheesed because you can import higher level characters than the game should start with. So it's very possible to like import characters that are basically in-game level right at the beginning. So depending on how hard you want to go into that, it's pretty easy. Beyond that, I would check out my So You Want to Play Baldur's Gate 1 video, because it uses the same system, more or less, so it's pretty easy to watch that video and then kind of get an idea of what you're doing. I feel like the hardest part of Pathfinder rule set is just figuring out which ability stack. I mean, honestly, like I've always been pretty consistent in saying that the worst part of the Pathfinder games is just learning all of the rules, because there's just so many of them. Come on, Fury, you're killing me. Why are we... She will not use channel positive healing, and every time I try to, it bugs her turnout. Very strange.
Out of my way!
But now we can just hit this thing, and honestly, on its next turn, it's going to take a bunch of damage anyway, and that'll probably kill it. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, so there's it, and then we can pass a lore nature check, which Tuvel can actually get, and then if we have any empty bottles, we can make alchemist acid that way.
I managed it.
And then we can kill these two flies if we wanted to get another bottle over here. There's really not much point in doing so, though, to be honest. There is another mushroom right here. What you don't want to do is go all the way this way, because there is a greater monitor lizard over there in that cave that will absolutely destroy your party. There's a way to kill it when you get around, but I would not go that way to fight that thing. Alright, and then we can push the bridge here. Which is how we get around. And there's more centipedes up here. Ah, man.
This
That
happened.
was a lucky hit, jeez.
I'll split you in half.
Die!
There we go.
I've got you.
I love how these things have 4 health and I'll do 3 damage. It's so annoying. Alright, Fear, can you attack at least? Jesus. I'll try to use her crossbow. Maybe that'll actually do something. Nope.
Aim carefully.
Yeah, I don't know what is up with her. Like, she'll even make the voice acting, or she'll do the voice line or whatever, but she won't actually do anything. Hi, how do you play CRPGs that are intended to be played co-op, like Original Sin 1 or 2? Is it worth it for a common player? You don't have to play Original Sin co-op, or 1 or 2. I mean, co-op's fun, but it's definitely not intended. Okay. So, if I could stop missing, that'd be great. After this fight, we're gonna have to go back to the camp and rest because we are
Let's hear you cry.
quite tired.
It's you or me.
There we go. Good grief. Really didn't think this random group of centipedes was gonna give us so much trouble. Alright, gotta go back to the camp and rest.
We should prepare.
Oh my god. For whatever, like, well, I'm gonna save and reload. Something is going on with Fury, and like it's not even letting me rest because she won't go to where she's supposed to. There it goes. Good grief. Okay. What is Through the Ashes? Through the Ashes is Wrath of the Righteous's new DLC that just came out today. Is the cleric afflicted with something? I don't know that it's I don't know that it's anything game related, but definitely seems to have a bug of some sort. Okay. So now that we're all healed up a bit, we can keep on. Again, you really don't want to rest as much as possible because the corruption is still ticking down. Aaron says it could have been worse. They could have been giant scorpions or regular-sized scorpions. Yeah, true enough. All right, and then we're about to run into... there's a cool encounter coming up. I don't want to spoil it. I'll stop talking.
Be careful, everyone.
Not this one, but like right after this, there's a really cool encounter that I think people are going to like, provided the bitrate doesn't ruin it. Assuming you ever run out of CRPGs you want to cover, do you have any future projects in the works? Yeah. I'm always working a bit ahead. Like, I don't necessarily have the day-to-day stuff planned out like super far in advance, but I always have a general idea of what I'm doing next.
Attack.
Henrik says, "Oh boy, centipedes." Listen, you wish you could be half as cool as that centipede, okay? Each of those centipedes needs at least 20 sets of legs to support how awesome they are. What have you got going on, Henrik? Okay. So we follow this guy that we just saved. And again, I think the bitrate is probably going to ruin it, but we follow him up here. And then he gets squished by a gelatinous cube and dies. Aya Brill says, "Congrats on the 50K, well deserved." I appreciate that, thank you. Henrik says, "Oof." No offense. Peter says, "Have you tried Expeditions Vikings?" It's a game before Expeditions Realm. I've heard it's really good. I have not played it yet. Okay, so the gelatinous cubes are no joke. They are immune to electricity, acid, critical hits, stunned, etc. And overall, they're very cool. But also, you kind of just have to fight this one. There's really nothing you can do to get around this one. There's more of them in the graveyard.
Strike.
That you can kind of get around. Audio's out of sync. It's probably not the audio so much as the bitrate. Sorry about that, though. Alright, and then I unfortunately can't charge to it, but we'll have our dwarf guy walk up. We'll move her up a little farther, but she's going to range attack.
Aim carefully.
Well, she's going to try to range attack. But also, hey, she actually did something.
Die.
Alright, so the worst thing that it can do is the nauseated status, because there's really nothing you can do because of your limited tool set about that.
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
But luckily he did it to our fighter, and that's probably who he'll keep attacking. And she should be able to stand up to him pretty well.
Forwards.
Mr. Cloudy says, hey man, been watching a while and must say, really like your content. Glad you're enjoying it, man. I appreciate that. Black Thoughts, is this the new campaign? Yeah, this is the new stuff that they got going on. Okay, so there's Fury done. She can't move because she's nauseated. Basically, now we just keep swinging away at it, and we should be fine for the most part. It's just going to take several rounds.
A solid plan.
It's you or me. Don't hold back.
Should be about there. I think it's got 19 health left. Alright, these two are nauseated, but now that Fury is actually doing something, we can cast her Channel Heal. There we go.
You're going down.
That little, I don't know if you guys can see it super well on stream, but there's a little ring around the gelatinous cube, which is kind of like the AoE effect on the nauseated. What's going on, Nico? Sin says, Ow just read Owcat's post, and they will be making more DLC. Good news. Yeah, it's definitely good news indeed. Somebody was telling me on stream, actually, that apparently they had more planned. I hadn't read it yet myself, so good to know.
Strike.
Joel says this enemy is giving me flashbacks to Jello shots in college. I could see where he would get that from, yeah.
Smear them.
So this is the small one, not to spoil it, but there is one more kind that you'll run into in this DLC that is dramatically bigger than this one.
Let's hear you cry.
Okay, got 3 hit points left.
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
Alright. And then this is an example of like the rotten and rusted ones you can find, which will have the penalty on your attack rolls.
I'm gone.
Joel says they inflicted nauseated IRL. Yeah, fair enough. If it's eating your tank, shouldn't your tank be the one making it nauseated? You would think so, but that's not the world we live in. Okay, so now you can kind of see the monitor lizard down there, and if you want to, you can kill that thing. And you can push this rock, which follows that path. So you can kind of drag it over here and then push that rock on top of it, which will take about half of its life, give or take. That said, I think the reward for killing that one really isn't that great. However, over here, we can find a guy who will act as a merchant. And we can trade with him. Now, he'll actually sell some stuff that we can make use of, but these cavern mushrooms are what he likes the most, and he'll buy those for like 20 gold a pop. But the rest of it, honestly, is not worth much. Like, as you can see, we really don't have too much available to us. There are a lot more of these mushrooms to be found, like around the cavern area. So you'd ideally want to go around and get as much equipment as you can, but as you can see, most of it's pretty cheap. You can buy, like, a greatsword is probably the most useful thing he sells, because then you can give that to Tuvel, who has weapon focus for that, which gives him a really good chance to hit, which is important in this DLC. And then there is, of course, all the armor, which is just normally useful in general. But you're not dealing with too much in the way of gold, so you really have to make use of what little you've got. And then there are a few more encounters around here. I believe there's centipedes over here.
Follow if you dare.
No, it's spider swarms. Yeah. But, again, we don't get experience for killing anything. We only get experience for milestone events. So you don't really need to pick every fight available.
Why do I have to do this? I managed it.
Picked up some more acid, and then we can actually knock this bridge over, which will create a path to our vantage point earlier. And that will give us easier access to where we can camp at, which is over there. Who is the middle companion? Is it mercenary or named? Well, they're set characters, but I would call them closer to mercenaries. Fury, Valmont, and Tuvel. Gabriel says you look exactly how I imagined based on the voice. Well, glad to know it's consistent at least, I guess. Alright, and then we take this elevator down to where we can grab some more mushrooms. Alright, and then there's some swarms over here. But luckily we have a kineticist, so swarms really aren't intimidating, provided we can, hit them and not roll an 8 when we need a 12.
Got you!
Now we're just on normal, so they still take, I think it's like half damage from regular hits.
Aim carefully.
In Kingmaker, they were actually just immune to weapon damage, so you had to use like energy damage, which was really annoying.
You're going down!
Because they throw swarms at you early game, and if you don't have any energy damage, it's a real mess.
Run them through.
Boga says, congrats on the 50k. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Nico says, you do not get experience for kills. No, it's a milestone system. So you ideally want to avoid as much combat as possible. You only get experience when you discover stuff, when you get to certain points in the story, etc.
Forwards.
Okay, so if I can hit this swarm, would pretty much be golden. But as you can see, I keep missing.
It's you or me.
Out of my way. A solid plan.
Don't hold back! Out of my way!
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
I rolled 1, 2, 6.
Attack.
She only hits on a crit, which is basically nothing.
Strike!
A 2. Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on. We're just going to turn turn-based off for this.
Aim carefully.
There we go. Good lord. Finally. Yeah, swarms are rough. Draw says avoiding combat in an RPG. What kind of heresy is this? Yeah, pretty much. Nico says, good luck with the Neverwinter Nights videos. Thank you, I appreciate it. Frank says, how long will you stream? I'll probably stream until we get out of the caves, give or take. I don't want to spoil too much of this, and let's be honest, the bitrate is a real mess. Okay, so here's a spider, but it's only got 18 health. I think there's one more over here. And then there's actually more spiders over in this area.
You should have run! Roll! Got you!
Alright.
Forwards.
Alright, we caught that one flat-footed, so it didn't really have any AC. And then, like I said, I think there's one more. Yeah, there it is. It's not dropping me out of combat because there was the other one over here, but it hadn't been triggered yet.
A solid plan.
Will I also play the second Neverwinter Nights? Probably. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, I'll probably get around to it. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Kins Kennel says, love the live streams. I hope you've been doing well. Watch videos every morning when I wake up. I'm glad to hear it, man. Honestly, it does wonders for the views, so I appreciate it. Can't believe you 100% this in turn-based mode. Took forever just to beat it with real-time with pause. Well, to be fair, I don't always play in turn-based mode. I'm playing this in turn-based mode because it's better to be careful. But a lot of times, like if I know the victory's a given, I will usually just turn it on real-time with pause.
It's you or me.
Turn-based is great for micromanagement, and in situations like this particular DLC where like resources are limited, etc., I think it is smarter to play in turn-based, but in general, I don't always have it on by any means.
Don't hold back!
Especially when you get into situations like this where you're missing like every attack, basically, and it can be incredibly annoying.
Aim carefully. Out of my way!
Strike!
Eric says this definitely feels different from the base campaign. On normal, even at the beginning, Land was eating enemies alive. Yeah, it's quite a bit different. It's got more of like a survival theme to it, which I like a lot, actually. There we go. All right, so if you take that mobility check right there, you can hop into a nest of spiders where there's like a little spider boss. You can find some more of the mushrooms over there, but that is a tough fight. All right, there is another swarm.
I'm always ready.
You should have run! Time to stretch me muscles.
Eric donated 500 Swedish kroner. Thank you so much. He says, well, gotta go to work, so can't watch anymore, sadly, but thanks a lot for all your hard work and great content. Glad you enjoyed it, man. Thank you so much for being such a loyal viewer, I suppose I could say. Drawfiend says, nay, it's the best thing, joking aside. Oh, he's talking to somebody. Nico says, Neverwinter Nights 1 was just incredible when it released. A friend of mine had top-of-the-line PC when he launched. Our jaws dropped. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like, it's funny to see how things like that are amazing at the time age, and then it's like, after the fact.
You're going down!
Die!
Oh, man, there's a spider I didn't see. That sucks. I forgot that guy was over there.
Out of my way! You're not a threat. You're an obstacle.
Rekarth, that little line was ridiculous. You're not a threat, you're an obstacle. Like, all right, dude, calm down. Okay, so spiders. What we're trying to do is get around this way. And I'm trying to just kind of run through it real quick because the
Please focus.
frame, the bitrate and everything is so choppy on it.
This will hurt!
Nice.
Let's hear you cry. My wounds pile on.
Don't hold back!
There we go. Sin says cleric's holding a heal. Yeah, I don't know who she was trying to hit, but she's holding it for whatever. I think she was trying to heal Valmont and then just never actually followed through.
Run them through.
Okay, so this is where we're trying to get to, which is the opposite side here. I believe
No one stands
there's
in my
one more gelatinous cube fight, so we're gonna heal up real quick.
I shall not fail.
Good grief, would you heal? Good grief. All right. All right, we're gonna throw Bless down and use that.
This fight won't be my last.
Yuzo says, looking to get into the CRPG genre. Any game recommendations for first-timers? The genre always seemed overwhelming for newcomers. Yeah, a little bit, for sure. I think the best thing to do is really just play some of the easier ones. DOS 2, for instance, is usually an easier one to dive into. Anything with simpler systems is really the way to go, or something with unique systems, like Pillars of Eternity, for instance. Until you get like a gist for how the combat is usually played and used. And then start working on stuff with like the heavier rule sets.
Oh, got you!
Nice. But I expect to do a lot of reading and a lot of learning, and it can definitely be a pain and put some people off, though, for sure. Okay. Like I said, I believe there's one more gelatinous cube. At least, anyway. Yeah, there is. Because what we're trying to do is get to this door, which is the way out.
It's time to act! This will be quick.
Alright, now this is
You're going down!
basically identical to the previous one. This one doesn't do anything that the other one didn't. So.
Out of my way!
Strike!
Forwards!
You're not a threat. You're an obstacle. I don't like you!
Oh man, hold on guys. My chat tab crashed. Sorry about that guys, had to... And YouTube is just not liking this stream at all. Which is weird, because everything's fine on my end. But that's the way it goes.
Die!
Moku says, funny to think that BG1 was my first real CRPG, and I had no idea whatsoever what D&D even was. Yeah, you know, honestly, I hear that a lot. A lot of people, I think Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 actually got a lot of people into, like, CRPGs and stuff. At least that seems to be the way it goes.
Solid plan.
Yeah, bumping games down to story mode I think also helps a lot. CRPGs have a
It's you or me.
pretty surprising amount of difficulty that I think a lot of people don't expect, because it's quite a bit different from other games. So it can be hard to get into, and then just learning things can be a real pain. Okay. So, as I mentioned, all we really needed to do was get here, to this door, which is why it auto-saved. And as you can see, we got 600 XP, so by the time you leave the underground area, you should definitely be level 2. I want to show you guys the last companion, and then we'll probably wrap it because the stream quality is terrible, and I don't want to show too much of the DLC anyway, as it launched today. But first, we have another text event, where we basically have to wind our way through the caves. And depending on the survivors that we have with us, like Frada or Langrat here, who are healthy, their health will affect how well they do in these sect events if you decide to use them. All right, and then we can kind of just you can explore and find supplies, but it's real touch or go because you can actually get debuffs here from these events that will then kind of carry forth into the next part, which can be a real pain. You can search graves. You can check out a ghost that we apparently saw here. But eventually, you'll make it to the Graveyard, which is the next area of the DLC. And this is where we actually meet Sendry, which is the gnome companion. And then they're being chased by skeletons, so we help him out. Now these guys aren't too bad. Unfortunately, they are immune to cold, which is what we're using, which can be a pain. So this really won't do anything. Or at least he'll do a resistance. He should be immune to that, not... Yeah, he's doing half damage is what it is. Because we're on normal.
You're going down!
Attack!
Can't charge because we're fatigued. We'll let him come to us. And then Sendry here actually has some spells to use, which is nice.
This will hurt. Don't hold back.
Got you!
Hold on, we're just going to turn turn-based off for this. We should be more than fine. Yeah, there we go. And this is where we run into Sendry.
We were scrambling this way with undead herring after us going, oh, and snap, snap, snap with their teeth. And then you all appear out of nowhere going, oh no, monsters, eek! But me, I never abandon a person in need. No way, no how. Saving people in need is what I'm good at. Stick with me, and we'll all make it out of this alive.
We're the ones who saved you, dolt. Take care with this one. A friendly idiot can be more dangerous than an enemy.
Hold on, I'm not... Yes, indeed, how silly of me.
Pale, sweating.
Have mercy.
All right,
I
so
One
beg.
Sendry
more word
is
and
trying
I'll
to, of
slit your
course,
throat.
also save people. So we meet up with him. He joins the party. He's the other, like, key character, if you will. You can't finish the DLC without Sendry, so him and Rekarth have to live.
Whoa, there's no need for weapons and threats. Taking somebody's life like
Sir, and I felt fine. That's the honest truth.
my eye.
And then the person he's trying to help actually needs
Frost
a
worms, a
scroll
conveniently
of
placed
cure disease or
branch.
something like that.
Listening to his jabbering is...
A scroll that can cure all... How should I... Hold...
You were
Which
in a
is more
tomb full
exploring
of
you can do.
magical objects and scrolls.
Really? Pardon?
Enough chit.
All right, and then this starts explaining the health of your non-player characters, if you will, the ones you aren't controlling. All of the survivors that you're taking with you have like this disease thing. So if they get too sick, they can die on you. So actually getting them through the DLC requires you to find like potions and scrolls and stuff to keep them healthy. And as long as they're healthy, they can help you. But, you know, if they die, obviously they're dead. Which isn't super helpful. And then in this map, you can start kind of moving around where you make camp, etc., which is pretty cool. And kind of work your way around. But the graveyard's pretty big. There's actually another full area, and then there is a smaller area after that even. So it's a pretty long DLC. For most people, I would say it's probably going to run you about 10 hours. But real quick, before we head out, everybody in the chat real quick, I actually have something kind of special for you because we're about to wrap it up because I honestly the bitrate has been terrible, and unless I'm tabbed out, you really can't do anything. However, Owlcat was kind enough to provide me with 10 keys for this DLC to give away. So everybody in chat right now, go ahead and type something up, and I'm going to choose 10 winners to give a key for this DLC out to. So everybody just from like this point say like hi or 50K, congrats, whatever floats your boat. And then I will pick 10 winners and contact you guys to give out these keys for. Frank said, love the stream. Glad you did. John said, rawr. I mean, that's something, I guess. Dennis said, nice one for 50K. Athlark says 50K. Ali says, I need that key like a gnomon needs his knighthood. Spider said, Albots roll out. Nice. Marotea said, 50K. Arkling said, already got season pass, so I guess all passed. Fair enough. Jonathan said, very cool. Been following for a while. Great work, but don't need a key. Just jumped. Wanted to say congrats. Thank you. A lot of people saying they've already got the season pass. Awesome. Sin said I was useful. Was I not? I feel like I've heard that somewhere. Pamela said, really enjoy the content. Congrats on 50K. Thank you. Monica said, congrats on 50.2K. Ever specific, but yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Paul said, love your channel. Congrats. Thank you very much. Said he doesn't need the key. All right. So... Schroeder says, season pass MVP, congrats. Thank you very much. Moku says, how nice of Owlcat. Yeah, it was really kind of him. Hold on, guys. I'm just giving winners up here. I probably could have done this throughout the stream and it would have been a little faster for everybody, but, you know, what are you going to do? Sorry, guys, running a comment thing. Okay, so the winners are Monica, Ali, Garden Gnome, Max, Carl P, Andre, Athlark, Frank F, John Shalduk, and Meroteus, I believe it is. If you guys will go to the About section of my YouTube channel, there is a business email. Go ahead and email me real quick, and then I'll pass these out that way. And, you know, I have to take a second to verify your email and everything and all that jazz. But feel free to email me real quick, and I'll have these passed out, and you'll have your DLC key. But more than anything, honestly, I just wanted to say thank you guys for stopping by. I really could not have possibly gotten to 50K without each and every one of you. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here for this stream right now. I'll have more Pathfinder content in the future. There will be more reviews in the future. But again, more than anything, just thank you guys. Thank you to the people who donated. Thank you for watching the stream. Overall, I think the DLC itself is pretty cool. I think it's quite a bit different from what I've played up to this point. I hope you guys enjoy it if you decide to check it out, especially the 10 people who are about to get it for free. So, thank you. May you wander in wisdom. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Have an amazing day. I'll see you guys next time. Just real quick before we end it, the email is on my YouTube channel. Go to the About section, click the business email, and email there real quick. So that's where you can find it. But beyond that, thank you guys again, and I'll see you.